once we have all the data that we have extracted, including the employee ID, official mail ID, and the other different fields that we have extracted from appointment letter and payroll declaration form, we have to enter that data into this master sheet that is available to us. To do that, let's create a new module. For example, sequence append data to master sheet, and then create it. First thing that we have to do is we have to first read this particular data table and then append the newly fetched values into it. To do that, just copy the path of it and then go back to this particular XAML, then use read range activity, which is available under workbook. Here just paste the path of it, and the sheet name is sheet 1, range is just mention A1, and then it will include the headers. There's no password to it, and let's save this particular data table into one variable called dt master. Okay, now we have an activity called add row in data table right here. So what it will do is, whatever data table you have right here, we can add some values to it. Basically, you have to pass them as an array. So the first name that we have in the columns is employee name. So for now, just take this. Okay, just enter employee name, dummy employee name, comma, dummy F, which is first name, then dummy L, which is dummy last name, and then comma, dummy G, which is dummy gender, and then dummy E, which is dummy email ID. So I have tried to enter all of them right here, corresponding. Each value over here will correspond to one of the column right here. The PAN number, I have written it as PAN, and similarly all these values will now be added to this data table virtually. Okay, once I click on OK, I have to pass the data table to which it has to add that values. So from here we have the data table, which will contain the existing values. To it we are trying to add some new values. As a last thing, we have to write back the new data table to whatever Excel we have. To do that, copy the path and paste it here in the right range. The sheet is sheet 1, and we have to write from the A1. The data table is dt master. Now what exactly are we doing is, we are trying to read this, whatever data which exists over there, then we are trying to add new data to that particular data table, and then we are writing back those values to this. If I just run this, let me close this, don't save it, and run. Let's go back to this and see what has happened. There's nothing that has happened here. So let me go back to this and see what's there. Okay, add headers. So what might happen is, because you have not selected add headers, it has replaced the data in this particular columns, as you can see. To avoid that mistake, we have to always take care of this particular property available. Now I have again taken a fresh thing. Okay, I'm just deleting the existing data if you want, or I can leave it. Okay, this time we have the column names as it is. Now let me run it once again. Run file. That's done. Let's go back to this and see what has happened. You can see some dummy values have been added. As we start integrating, we have to replace this with the data that we will be fetching from that particular documents. That was about adding the values to the master sheet.